Welcome to the American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants podcast. I am your host, Heidy De La Cruz, and I am on the mission to change the narrative of immigration, one immigrant story at a time. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants podcast. I am your host, Heidy De La Cruz, and today I have Mr. Daven. Thank you so much for being here. I realized that the majority of my guests are women. So it's when I get a male on the show, I'm like, okay, yes, I feel like more women are more willing to talk about things like this. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being willing to share your story and your journey. And yes, if you can introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we will get started.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast. But more than that, kudos to you for empowering women and giving women a platform. And then also, along those lines, thank you for allowing immigrants to highlight the immigrant experience and to bring that to the forefront of society today. Because a lot of times they're in the media, especially now around the political situation. A lot of times immigrants are not portrayed in the best light. So thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you. That is literally one of the main reasons why I started this. But yes, thank you. So, do a little introduction for the audience.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Daven Ghandi. I am from Malaysia originally, and I moved to the United States when I was 18 years old as an international student. So I've been in the United States for 18 years now. So I'm at that point where I've spent half my life in America and half my life in Malaysia, which is really strange to think about, but it's been great. And then I am also an immigration attorney. So I tell people I'm an immigrant turned immigration attorney. So I am the immigration attorney for you because I understand what you feel. But I've had my own practice for a year now. We just celebrated 1 year a few days ago. So it's
congratulations.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Yeah. So it's been great. So that's a little bit about me.
Yes, I love that. And I love that I think all of the immigration attorneys that I've interviewed, except for one, have been immigrants themselves. And just because of their own experiences, really why they wanted to go that route. So we'll get to that a little bit later. First, I just want to get started with how was growing up in Malaysia?
Growing up in Malaysia, if I'm being so completely honest, was both a privilege, but also there were moments in my life where I felt at least that I am valued more in America than I am in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, I'm part of the minority. And when we're considering the Malay, the Chinese, and the Indian, so I'm an Indian Malaysian, there is the quota system. So you know how they just recently struck down the affirmative action policy in America? Affirmative action in America helps minorities. In Malaysia, affirmative action helps the majority. So if you're looking at this in the practical sense, after high school, when everyone's applying to go to universities, to the public universities, 60% of the space is reserved for the Malay majority. And then the rest, 20% is for the Chinese and 10% for the Indians. So basically, there's just no access to opportunities growing up. So here's where my privilege comes in, right? So I was glad that my parents were able to send me to private schools where I was able to get a good education, and then also had the ability, my parents also had the ability to send me abroad to get an education. Whereas a lot of other people who look like me, who are in Malaysia, are not able to have this opportunity or access to education to better their lives. So they're kind of stuck in that same cycle of poverty. So basically life in Malaysia, it was good in the sense that I grew up with friends of many different ethnicities, which basically means that you learn multiple languages growing up, which really helped with me being in America. So I speak Malay, Tamil, a dialect of Chinese, and then when I came to the US, I also had English, obviously, and then I lived in Guatemala and Mexico, so I learned Spanish as well. So
wow. And so is it mandatory to learn that many languages in Malaysia?
Two languages are mandatory, so English and then Malay. And then the rest of them, it's basically if you come from an ethnic group, an ethnic background, you basically have a language that's associated with it. So as an Indian, my family are from south of India, and we speak Tamil.
Okay,
My
interesting.
Tamil is not great, but I speak it.
I love how different countries have people learn multiple languages. I love that because I wish that was required here in the United States. Like I know there's certain schools that do have, different requirements or whatever, and it's usually like Spanish
Yeah.
or French and things like that. But we don't really grasp it, that second
Mhm.
language, unless, your parents are immigrants and things like that. And then, it's like, okay, you speak the native language at home and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
English everywhere else. So yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. That's so cool. And so
Yeah, I
you
think
learned English. I'm sorry, you learned English here in the United States or back home?
I mean I wish I could lie and say I learned it in the United States, but no. I grew up, my parents basically said, you know what, we want you to be me you as in like my brothers and I, we want you to be
Mhm.
able to go abroad, get a good education. So we spoke English at home, Malaysian English, but we
Wow.
spoke English at home. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And how many siblings? You mentioned brothers.
Yeah, I have four brothers. I mean, including me, four brothers, and then I have two sisters. Uh,
Big family.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Awesome. And then are all of your families in Malaysia or like where's everybody?
Yeah, so everybody's kind of everywhere. Initially, now a lot of them are back in Malaysia. Uh,
Okay.
my youngest brother, he's in Australia right now in Melbourne. He's studying for film. He's studying to be a producer. And then I
Cool.
have a sister in India. And then in the past, my older brother and my younger brother, they have studied in Ukraine, in Australia, and in Germany. So yeah, we were all over, but then now everyone's back home except for me and my youngest brother.
Oh my goodness. That is amazing that your parents were able to do that. Like, I have so many kids, but then also provide for you guys to be able to literally go all over the world. That is amazing. And so let's talk about coming to the United States. So you came at 18 to study. Did you did you have different choices for different countries to choose from or were you set in the United States? How was
Yeah.
that? How was that about?
Yeah, I actually just had this conversation with a friend recently. I chose the United States because I knew nobody. Um,
Oh.
almost all my classmates in my high school class, because it was a small class, almost everyone went to Australia because it's the closest Western
Mm,
country to Malaysia. And then a few of them went to the UK, to England to study. I was like, I want to go somewhere I know nobody just so I can, experience life and learn who I am and all of that stuff.
yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I would like to go to America, but I didn't choose to come to America until there was an education conference in Malaysia where a bunch of university representatives were there, like highlighting their universities to try and recruit students. I met a lady from Wisconsin, and she was just the sweetest, nicest lady. She looked at my grades. She was like, "Okay, yeah, you are accepted," and I was like, "Okay, great." And 2 months later, or 3 months later, after going through the visa process, I was on a flight to America, not knowing where Wisconsin was.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wisconsin. Okay, so tell us about the culture shock.
Oh,
Wait, first of all, that before you tell us about the culture shock, I do want to say brave. You are so brave at 18 years old. And it's like, I want to go to a country where I know no one. Like,
yeah.
so oh my gosh, kudos to you for that. So tell us about cultural shock that you experienced in Wisconsin.
Yeah, okay. So for me, one would be the snow. I mean, not even culturally, just like the environment. I had never seen
Yes.
snow in my life. So one of the biggest draw when she was speaking to me, she was like, "Yeah, it snows like 6 out of 12 months and it's cold all the time." I'm like, "Sign me up! I'm
No
right there."
way.
So seeing snow was so exciting. But I have to be honest, the biggest culture shock I got was probably Americans not knowing that I spoke English.
Oh
And so
man.
they would speak to me like, "Hello, how are you?" And
No.
I get it. They might be accommodating because I mean, sure, they have English ESL classes and all,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
international students are in ESL classes. But I wish they had come from a more like, let me speak to you normally. I mean, let me speak to you at a normal pace and see
Yeah,
how you
yeah.
respond. But yeah, so that was the funniest thing. Two other things I could remember. One is my school, or my school that I went to was the University of Wisconsin Eau Claire. It was 97% white Caucasians.
Oh.
So that's like me going there. There was like 500 brown kids. So I'm always being confused with the other brown kid.
Oh no.
No, but which is fun because I think it really brought me out of my shell and
Okay,
really
okay.
made me like get used to speaking to strangers. And that's exactly what I wanted, right? To come to America and just
Yeah.
talk to myself. And then the last culture shock I had was, oh my God, the amount of nudity. Like, I'm not used to going to the locker room and like just
Oh,
seeing so
really?
many naked people showering together. Because yeah, it's so other than that, culture shock, honestly, I grew up watching American movies, American TV shows. So it wasn't nothing like, whoa, but it was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
actually experiencing life and being like, yeah, this is America.
Oh my gosh. So you went literally to like the whitest place that
Yes.
you probably could. So it's like I would have experienced the United States of America. Here you are,
Yeah.
Wisconsin. Oh my goodness. So are you still in Wisconsin?
No, so I moved a bunch of places. So
Oh, okay.
Wisconsin, Minnesota, Massachusetts, California, Mexico,
Wow.
Guatemala. Then I moved to New York and I love New York. My first day in New York, I'm like, this feels like home. So
No way. Really?
yeah.
Is it similar to Malaysia or what is it that makes it feel like home?
You know, I think it's just a fast-paced lifestyle. I was in
Mm,
California, I was in San Diego for law school. It was such a surfer vibe, like relaxed, chill. It's great for retiring, I think, and when you're in college. But as soon as I graduated, I was so hungry for work, for life. I was like, I need
yeah.
somewhere that's just a lot more um lively. So I moved
Yeah.
to New York and I'm like, wow, just impressed with the pace of life here. So
Oh, okay. I visited I was born in New York, but my parents left when I was 3 months old, like right away. And so I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is like it's like a small town, but like not really. It's kind of like in the middle. And so like we would visit New York all the time. I mean, hence I have a new I love New York
nice,
sweatshirt
love
on.
it.
And but I don't think I could ever get used to that fast pace of life. So that's why I
Yeah.
was wondering, like, what was it about it that you loved in it? And it's that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, because I know New York, people come here and they leave for that reason, that it's just
Yeah.
too much. I just need to
Yeah.
get away. But the way I kind of balance that out is every time I go on a holiday now, I cannot go to another city. I need to go to like a beach or to relax
To
somewhere.
like relax. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So let's talk about the process of being an international student to then actually staying in the United States. Because I know you moved around a little bit, so
Yeah.
you lived in different countries. So can you walk us through that process of actually like being able to be here and live here?
Yeah. So just as a background, when you are
Mhm.
an international student, after you graduate from a program of study, whether it's your bachelor's or your master's, you get 1 year of OPT, which is called the work authorization, that you are allowed to work for 1 year if it's related to the your program of study. So after I was done with Wisconsin, I had 1 year of this OPT. I did an internship at in California with a human rights organization, and then I moved to Minnesota at the University of Minnesota Human Rights Center. So during those time, I basically did my internship, and then afterwards, I went to law school. After law school, I got my other 1 year of OPT, and I decided to
Mm.
move to New York, not knowing anybody, not like, nothing. I was like, I have a plan to move to New York. So I moved to New York, set for the bar, thankfully passed the bar, and then it so happens I met somebody who a few years ago I met her at a conference in Puerto Rico, and during the conference I spoke to her, and she was like, never stop talking to a stranger. You just never know what will happen. Turns out that night her
Ooh.
husband won an award, right? So 2 years later, I'm in New York. I went to an event and she was there. And she was like, David, and she recognized me, right? I was like, wow, that's quite cool that you recognize me. And
Yeah.
then she said, what are you doing after you're done with the bar? As we were talking. I was like, I don't have plans yet. And she said, well, I'm a judge now. Would you like to come clerk with me? So so I found a job right after while studying for the bar, basically. And
Wow.
so that 1 year I was working with her, then I worked for an immigration law firm, and then at the end of that year, that's when you're supposed to get an employer to sponsor you for a longer work visa, like a 6 year work visa, which is called the H-1.
Okay.
Um, Unfortunately, for that, you have to get an employer, and the employer has to be able to pay you a wage that's appropriate according to the prevailing wage, right? And so my employer at that time wasn't able to pay the salary of what a New York attorney would get. And I was out of luck, basically. I
Mm.
was like, okay, what's my next move? What do I do? I sent a bunch of resumes, but no jobs. There was just nothing because usually when you start with a company, they're not so willing to sponsor you. You need to
Mm.
prove yourself a little bit. So,
Have you been thinking about starting your very own podcast? Well, I created a podcast course to help you launch your podcast without feeling overwhelmed and with simplicity. Okay. So it is a 6 week podcast course. Each video is less than 15 minutes long, so it doesn't take that much time to get through. And it breaks down the steps that you need to launch your podcast. Again, 6 weeks or less. So you can do it faster than 6 weeks, or you can take longer than 6 weeks. It's all up to you. You do it at your pace. And you will get lifetime access to this course. In addition to the 6 modules or the 6 videos, you also get videos about editing. You'll also get the podcast digital planner, which helps you create your content. It helps you with the episode outline. It helps you with the show notes outline. It helps you stay on track with the podcast cycle checklist. It has the guest intake form and also a Google Sheet episode organizer to make sure that you are organized and set up from the jump to be able to plan out your content, organize your episodes, because that is key to long-term podcasting, right? You'll also get 3 exclusive interviews with leading podcasters who are killing it in the industry. And in addition to all of that, you will also get the podcast workbook, like how to launch a podcast workbook that goes along with each module. So you can watch the videos and then also follow along with the workbook. All of that is included in the course. If you are interested, head over to my Stan store. The link is in the show notes and the show description, so you can sign up for the course. And there's also a referral program included. If you refer someone to me to launch their podcast and they sign up for the course, I will give you $50. That's right. You will receive $50 if the person you referred does sign up for the podcast course. So all the information is in my Stan store. If you have any specific questions, you can always email me at Heidi@HeidiDeLaCruz.com, and let's get your podcast launched.
I spent all these months training with him and like showing myself, but then at the end he was like, "I'm so sorry, I can't sponsor you." Really nice employer though. So then I decided, you know what, I need to figure out my next move. And I did a bunch of networking, just speaking to attorneys, asking them, "Hey, what would you recommend I do?" So one person, she basically sat with me and she's like, "Hey, you're from Asia. You could go back to Asia and build your skills there. What if you go to where your clients are from?" So practicing immigration, a lot of my clients are from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. And so I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. She said, go there. You learn about the socio-political economic background. You learn the language. You understand where your clients are coming from. And then when you come back, you're going to be able to market yourself a lot better.
Wow.
And so I was like, I'm always up for an adventure. I mean, I moved to the US without even knowing anybody or anything, right? So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So the plan was to move to Guatemala. So I moved to Guatemala. It was supposed to be starting at Guatemala, a few months, then go through the South America, Central America. But I fell in love with Guatemala, stayed there for 3, 4 months, and then came back to the United States on a tourist visa. Did a bunch of interviews, sent out like hundreds of resumes. One of the employers met with me. He was like, really impressed, and it just so happened that was when they were doing the H-1B lottery. They agreed to sponsor me, and then here's where luck comes in, right? I got picked in the H-1B lottery, and then basically they sponsored me, and I could start working after that.
The H-1B lottery was from the company?
Yes. So the
Okay.
H-1B lottery works like there's this 6-year visa that's available to foreign nationals, and then there is about 85,000 visa that's available every year.
Okay.
And over 300,000 applicants apply for it. So you have a 1 in 4 chances of getting selected, basically. So even, I mean, the hard part is getting an employer to sponsor you, but then here it was like, first you have the employer, then you gotta put yourself to the mercy of the lottery.
And
then
you got it.
and then
Oh my gosh.
So the stars were just aligned at the right time,
It was just meant to be. There's just
Yeah.
nothing else that explains that. Wow. So you mentioned that you fell in love with Guatemala. What did you love about it?
I think it's also being in New York at that time. This is a little bit my philosophy. New York was so filled with sharks trying to get to that endpoint. And being in Guatemala made me realize maybe I'm not meant to be a shark in the ocean. Maybe I'm just meant to fly in the skies. I'll still get to the end point. It's just a different route, right? So I
Wow.
think what it taught me is that success comes in different ways. We can all get there. We just have different routes of getting there. It put a pause in my life. I remember this so
Mhm.
distinctively. I was at a park and I was just looking around. Nobody was on their phones. Everybody was just living life and being present with each other. I took that. I take from Guatemala that experience, and the people being just the nicest, most humble people I've met.
Beautiful. And you also mentioned that you went there to like, study the about the living in the situation there. So can you share with us one or two things that you did learn in your time there?
Yeah, so a lot of my clients are from Guatemala, and so they are escaping poverty, violence, and so a lot of time when I was in Guatemala, I had uh, I guess the privilege of being able to go visit some of these basureros or slums, basically,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
see where they are living and to escort it, of course, because I can't go there by myself. Just to meet with children who are living in the community and seeing what their life is like, and then meeting all the different nonprofits and seeing all the work that they are doing to help with the indigenous Guatemalans and to help those who are kind of stuck in that in their impoverished life
Hmm.
to get better. And so it was nice to see that there were things being done to help the community. Um, but it was also sad in the sense that there is so much darkness or so much sadness there,
Yeah.
where kidnapping is so common, being murdered or all of that, with a high crime rate.
Yeah.
And then here's the thing, even the kids that I met in the schools that were like in between in the slums, they were so joyful,
Mm.
and it really was like you can find joy even in your darkest times.
Yeah.
So I got to learn a lot about the things that a lot of nonprofits were doing, but then also just to kind of see Guatemalans living in Guatemala and seeing how they
Yeah.
live their life. It's just a very simple, very very beautiful, and they were very very welcoming of me as a foreigner.
I love the two advice that I believe you said you got was never stop speaking to a stranger because you never know who you're talking to. So I absolutely love that. And then second, the advice that you got about going to move to Guatemala so you can like see and experience and help your clients more. Because now I'm just thinking about as you're talking about what you learned over there and just you could see it firsthand, right? Because
Mm,
it's totally different hearing you talking about it or hearing your clients talking about it than you actually experiencing it and seeing it. So it's like you have that connection with them when you're talking to them and helping them. So I absolutely love that you actually took the advice and did it. Yeah, so I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now let's talk about your career because you're an immigration
okay.
attorney. Did you always know that you wanted to be an immigration attorney?
I knew that I always wanted to be an attorney to fight for the rights of children.
Okay.
So yeah, so I knew that much. It wasn't until I was in law school when I did an immigration law clinic that I actually learned about immigration law and at least the workings of immigration law because I always wanted to be an international human rights lawyer. And
Okay.
so immigration law takes a lot of international human rights laws and they've been codified into American laws. And so I was very surprised to see, hey, look, this is from the International Convention Against Torture being used within the American context. But it was
Yeah.
also my experience as an immigrant that was like, I need to help my people, my fellow immigrants, because I know how complicated and complex the process is. It took
Yes.
me, I mean, even though I came in as a student, it took me 17 years to get my green card. I know we haven't spoken about this, but just
Yes.
last
Can you say that
year,
again? Can you
took me
say that again, please?
17 took me 17 years to get my green card. So I was helping all my clients get their green card. My mom makes fun of me all the time. She's like, you're
Really?
helping everyone get their green card. Where's yours? But that's just how
Um,
complicated the process is.
so okay, so you are well educated, you know, I don't even know how to put it. Like you're well educated, you like someone who can obviously as you're bringing good to the United States, and it's still took you 17 years for you to get that permanent status. Like, I really want people to sit with that right there, because there is so much misinformation out there that is about immigration. And again, another reason why I started this is because my family went through the process, and I remember having to translate, and I remember going to my dad to do the well, first of all, just even studying for the citizenship test, and
Yeah.
just like trying to like, oh my gosh, they have to know all these stuff that like even Americans born here
Right.
don't know. And
Right.
just like going through that process with them, and it's just like it's so complex, and it's there's just so many things that people don't know about, which is why I love talking to immigration attorneys about their own journey and just the work that they're doing for their family, and sorry, for their clients and everything.
Yeah.
So would you like to share about getting your like that process about getting your green card? Would you like to get into that?
Yeah, yeah, I can, of course. So, I was on my work visa, and then I moved to another job with another employer, and they had to file another work visa application for me to even be able to work for them. Great employer. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna file the green card for you right away."
Mhm.
Because a lot of times, remember I said you get 6 years of work visa. A
Yeah.
lot of employers wait till that fifth year before they file the green card for you. Why? Because when you're on the work visa, you can only work for that employer. So
Oh,
that's like a way of like, you're gonna work for me and
you
I'm
got
gonna
to
get
stay
my money.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of times employers wait till that last year to file it. But I got a great employer. He was like, let's do it. We filed it, and then COVID hit.
Oh
And
no.
my application was delayed by like 2.5 or 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
And then finally it was approved January 2023.
So just recent.
Just recent. I can still
Wow.
feel it.
Now I see why your mom was joking, like, oh, you're helping everybody else. Where's yours? Where's yours? That's so
And I've been an
funny.
attorney for 10 years now. So that's like a long time.
Wow. You oh my goodness. That is mind-blowing right there. But I'm glad that it's all said and done, that you went through the process. You didn't give up, like you could have just been like, forget this, I'm out of here, but you didn't.
Yeah.
And now you're helping, clients in the situation that, you were in. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. And so what would you say is a challenging aspect of your job? And then I would also like to know, like, what is a rewarding aspect of your job?
Yeah. Um, Challenging aspect would always be, and I feel like I want to go back to the years of the Trump presidency,
Mhm.
because during that time there were so many anti-immigrant laws that were being put in place, from the Muslim ban, where people were
Oh
not even
yeah.
allowed into the country. I was
Yep.
at the airport in JFK trying to help those people come in, and then from laws with asylum being enacted or being overturned, where immigrants who would have potentially qualified for something end up not being able to win their case. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of despair. And I remember just going to court and knowing that you're not going to win the case.
Mm,
And knowing that your clients have all their hopes and their dreams in your hands, and then you know what's going to happen already because of
mm,
laws that were just recently construed that were anti-immigrant. So I think that was the hardest part. It would always be whenever a case is lost. And
yeah.
sometimes, even if it's a very devastating case, if it doesn't fall within the framework of asylum law or anything, or any other immigration relief, then there's just no way to help a client.
Mm,
So yeah, so that was hard, and I think a lot of difficult situations, because I used to do a lot of removal defense. So these were people who are facing deportation. So going to
mm,
court for with them. Um, it's just seeing a lot of sad stories, basically. And I
yeah.
represent lots of human rights survivors. So women who've been abused, LGBTQ individuals who've been persecuted in their home countries, children
Oh,
who've been abandoned, abused, or
yeah.
neglected. So these were all challenging aspects. The rewarding part, obviously, is seeing the joy and the happiness, and then giving them the ability, or being able to facilitate their journey and their immigration journey towards their freedom or their security. um I love working with kids. mainly because I was a survivor of childhood abuse, but then also being able to help children who have been through similar situation, but then
Yeah.
seeing them thrive. I love working with kids who are like 11, 12, 13, and then I've been an attorney for 10 years now, seeing them now become adults and doing
Oh,
all the great things.
yeah.
I feel like I'm old, but like, seeing them do all the great things that they're doing, it's
Yeah.
just like, I love it. So that's the most rewarding part of my job.
Oh, I love that. And I should have definitely asked, like, which type of clients do you work within? Because as I've interviewed immigration attorneys, I've realized there, even within the immigration system, like there's like, okay, we work with these type of visas or
Yeah.
these type of clients. So so you shared a little bit about that. Is there any other type of clients that you didn't mention that you work with?
Yeah, so the fun thing about having my own law firm, which I started last year, like I said earlier, was that now I get to choose the cases that I want to do, the clients that I want to represent. So I represent children. Obviously, that's one for the special immigrant juvenile status. These are children under 21 who are unmarried, who've been abused or abandoned or neglected.
Mm.
I represent them. And then I also do LGBTQ immigration. So this is whether they are seeking asylum or they're getting married to their partners here, helping them. That this is like the fun part of immigration where you're not focusing on the sadness. Welcoming new couples into America it's something that I love doing. And then I'm also doing a lot of employment-based visas because that's something that I went
Oh,
through. So it's at my old firm, I was also the managing attorney handling all the employment-based immigration. It's something that I don't talk about much previously because it's nothing fun about talking about employment based, but here's how I make it fun. I do things that I'm really passionate about. So, oh, that's really fun. So I have one of my clients right now. He's the U.S. National Latte Art Champion, and he's from Thailand, right? And it's so niche.
okay.
It's so creative. It's fun. I also represent athletes who want to come to the U.S. My goal is to get into that World Cup football teams where I can help those international footballers come here. I haven't found my in yet. So if anybody who's listening to this podcast can get me an in,
Yes.
please. And then I also represent medical immigration. So these are for doctors
Oh.
and nurses who want to come to America.
Interesting. So you have
Yeah.
a wide range of clients that you
Yeah.
help. That is so cool. And so if if someone in the audience is listening and they fall within those clients that you just mentioned, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on social media. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, as Daven the Lawyer. I'm also on YouTube as Daven the Lawyer. And then Kaza Law is the name of my immigration law firm, and you can find me also on all the social media platforms. And then through that, you can fill out the lead questionnaire, and then you will get put into our system. You'll also get a cute little newsletter every month, just to kind of let you guys know what's going on within immigration, within the law firm, and we always try and highlight one good thing that our clients are doing. So it's like a
Oh,
shout out, especially. Yeah, so I had a client, for example, from Mexico. She just recently got her green card. She just started her wellness studio. So we did a little segment on her.
I
Yeah. So I
love
try,
that.
yeah. So that's what I do.
I love that. I've well definitely will include all your links in the show notes and show description so it'll be easier for people to find. And I love as I've been interviewing a lot of immigrants, I've noticed that a lot of them start their own businesses like that. Like that is amazing. Do you find the same as well with your clients? Like once they have their legal status, like do they have like, businesses or like dreams like that that they aspire to do?
Yes, and it depends. It depends, but generally, I think yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, because now they have not just the visa. They don't have the visa restriction put in
Mhm.
place
Mhm.
that like prohibits them from starting their own business, but they're also able to then get business loans, for example, which they may not have
Yes.
been able to get access to previously. So I think a lot of immigrants, actually, I don't think, I know a lot of immigrants come to this country with big dreams and
Yes.
aspire to do great things, whether it's to support their families back home, whether it's to build a family here, whether it's to build a business. Immigrants bring so much good to this country. So generally, yes, once they're able to get their papers, they do amazing, wonderful, beautiful things.
And I love that you're doing that shout out for your
Yeah.
clients who are doing,
Yeah.
that is so awesome. Again, highlighting immigrant stories.
Yeah.
I love that. So we have that in common.
That's why I resonated so much with your podcast, and I'm like, oh, thank you for inviting me to come speak.
So man, I feel like I can talk to you forever. But I do want to wrap things up just for, respect of time. So the last question that I love asking my guests is what does the American dream mean to you?
Uh, I feel like I'm already living my American dream right now. And both professionally and personally. And they are both kind of connected. So right now, with the motto of my law firm, it's also to empower other immigrants to achieve their American dream. And I don't say the American dream because I think the American dream doesn't exist, but we, like I said, we all have our own version of what we want for our life and what we want to achieve in America. So that's my goal is to help empower others. And then professionally, and I mean personally, I guess it's also now I feel like again after getting my green card, I finally have the ability to reach both my financial goals and my life goals. I plan to start the IVF process soon to get a baby, a surrogate, to grow a family in the United States. Hopefully be able to grow my business and help more immigrants out. For me, it's a lot of times it pains me when I hear clients come to me and say that their attorney never told them about a certain aspect of immigration. Um,
Mm,
I every time I meet with a client, I want them to understand every single option or possibility that they can have and for them to actually know what the process is. So to be able to do more of that, I love it. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm always so happy talking about how I can help other immigrants because I see myself in all my clients. And so
yeah.
that's what the American dream means to me.
I love that. And yeah, because you can see yourself, like you've been through it, so you know, and I love that. I love the work that you're doing. Yes, you can definitely see the joy in your face when you're talking about this. And that's really, I love how you said that you're already living your American dream because I feel the same way. Like when people want to define success, it's very personal, right? It's very like, what does success mean to you? I feel like it's the same question as like, what does the American dream mean to you? Because it is very personal. It's like everybody has a different level or version of success, what it means to them, because it's what their purpose and what their life is. So it's like when people ask me, like, are you successful or like, where do you see yourself or whatever? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm already living, like, I'm already successful. Like, I'm connecting with people literally from all over the world, uplifting these stories, sharing the truth, facts, sharing stories that don't get listened to a lot, and then just connecting with amazing people like you who are also doing amazing things. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing, for the work that you're doing. And we will definitely have to stay connected.
Awesome. Thank you again. Like I said, I'm so honored to be invited. Thank you for everything that you do for other immigrants, and keep doing the amazing thing that you're doing.
Thank you for listening to Mummy Podcast.